What's up, my fellow Smite salutes? I'm Bad Vibes, and today I have 3 real tips that'll be useful for any newer players or anybody that's considering giving Smite a try. And I say real like that because a lot of people will give out these very broad tips that are pretty much just common sense, like go watch a streamer, see how they play, and kind of copy what they do, and that's how you can learn. Or the only way to get better is just to play more, which these things are true, but they're kind of just common sense for a lot of gamers at this point. So I feel like, a lot of that stuff just isn't helpful. Now, before I get into the remainder of the video, I do want to say that this is a new channel that I made to help out as many players or potential players as possible. I have over 5,000 hours played across 3 different platforms, so I feel like I have a pretty decent grasp on the game. If you're interested in learning more, check out some of my other videos that'll be coming, and hopefully you stick around. The first tip is learning the items. Simply copying builds and not understanding why an item is built will only lead to you never improving. Counter building is a crucial part of this game. Learning all the items and how they interact with all the gods is a core lesson you have to put yourself through if you want to improve at the game. Now, I know it seems like a very daunting process because the items and gods are always changing with each patch and bonus patch that comes each month, but I do promise with time it does get easier to understand and learn at a much faster pace. You just have to put the time into it. As you play the game more and improve, you should notice your builds changing game by game because you should always be adapting on the fly. So for example, if the enemy team has healers like Guan, Terra, Hell, who are all from different classes but all provide AoE healing, you're going to want to make sure you have anti-healing items in your build, otherwise you're going to be pretty pissed off when the team fighting starts and you can't win a fight because they're sustaining everything and your team has no way to get through it. For a non-counter building example, I'll be using Kukulkan. Looking at his passive here, you'll see that he gains extra power from items that have mana. So items like Book of Thoth, Book of the Dead, Ollie, Soul Reaver, and so many more would give him extra power. And there's a lot of different gods in this game where they benefit extra from certain items, so that's why it's really important to not only learn the gods, but to just learn the items and how they work. Otherwise, you'll be missing out on a lot of potential power, protection, or just even playing a god correctly. I'm going to be doing an in-depth guide on who should be building what and when, so keep an eye out for that if you're interested. But one final thing I want to add here is just never go the build copying route. If anyone tells you to go look up a build and just use that game after game, they're wrong and they're only leading you in the wrong direction, and it's only going to hinder you at getting better at the game. Now for tip number 2, you might be thinking, no shit, that seems pretty obvious. But what I mean is knowing what not to do to actively avoid the toxicity that will come with this game. MOBAs are toxic as hell, and Smite is no different. That's just the unfortunate nature of them. They attract some of the worst people who have clearly never played any type of team sports because they definitely do not know how to talk to a teammate, and that's something that you're going to see in this game, but there are ways you can work around it. One thing you can do to avoid toxicity is to play your assigned role. Even if it's something you don't like and nobody's willing to trade you, you're kind of stuck playing it. Because if you just come into a game and you insta-lock, or say you decide to play mid number 2, even though somebody else is already playing mid, you're just wasting everybody's time at that point and nobody's going to have fun. You're not going to have fun and you're not even going to learn anything from it. While we're on the topic of role and god selection here, I should mention that if you have a troll pick or some crazy pick idea in mind that you want to try for a god that usually doesn't play in a specific role, you might want to give your teammates a heads up. That will go a long way. And I would definitely keep that shit out of ranked, because if you go into ranked and troll pick, those people are going to tear you a new asshole that leads to hell.
Is that my ass?
Another thing people are commonly attacked for is holding teammates hostage or even the enemy team hostage in a game that's clearly over. If you're down 15,000 gold at 10 minutes somehow and you have a teammate that's already AFK and another dude running face first into a phoenix, it's probably just time to surrender because you're not going to win that game and you're not going to learn anything from it. You're going to have a lot of games like that. It's just going to happen. It's going to be one-sided, and it's okay to play games from behind and learn. You're going to, need that to get better at the game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if there's a game that's completely out of reach, just go ahead and surrender and move on to the next. It's better for you overall and everybody else. And at the end of the day, if somebody is just being a piece of shit to you in general, this game does have mute and block options and report options and all that. Use them as you need to. The final tip is my favorite of the three. Building a god pool is pretty simple, and all it takes is playing the game and figuring out what style of play with each class suits you best. You're going to get thrown off role a lot, so doing this for all the classes is pretty important if you want to actually improve and get better at the game. So I can use my style of play as an example. I play mid, and I tend to lean towards the artillery mages like Ra, Thoth, Merlin, who have such long-range poke and team-changing ultimates, except for Merlin. His is a little different, but his kit provides him with enough poke, he makes up for it. But I love being able to have that game-changing ult and long-range poke. It just suits me well in mid lane, so I tend to lean around those gods. My least played role is easily support, so if I'm playing ranked and I get thrown into it, I at least know I have a solid god pool of Geb, Kumba, Kabrakan, and a few others that I have a ton of play time in, and I can reliably play them and keep up with the rest of my team, even though I'm not in my normal or even next to normal roles. In a lot of these games, it'll just be better to play your god pool pick than to play a top meta pick that other people are recommending or that you see pro players playing, because at the end of the day, you're going to play better on that god pool pick of yours than a god you're unfamiliar with. So just play around, figure out what you like or what you're most interested in, and just go with it. Build that god pool for each class and each role, so that way you always have fallback options. Well, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. If you stuck around to the end, hopefully you learned something useful that will make your Smite experience better, or your potential Smite experience better. And if you are watching and I think you have something to add, please comment it down below. We need more people in the community willing to help each other out. Later, salutes.